First of all, welcome everyone for this particular event by EduRamp Learning Services that is transforming learning and development from a cost center to a strategic asset for an organization. A long-awaited question which is there in the mind of learning and development. That is what our today's topic is, and we are taking things ahead from here. Myself, host of this particular session, my name is Bilal. I head the technology practice over here in EduRamp Learning Services, and to be precise, looking at things related to technology, technological shifts, and all those things is something that I look at. Many of us are esteemed clients itself to EduRam, so they know that we are into technology learning mainly, and we are also focusing on to the area of power skills. Okay, we keep on doing these kind of events. Okay, every month we have at least one event which keeps on happening. We did a lot of events with respect to power skill. We did a lot of events which with respect to how management look towards learning and development. Our major objective behind this particular session is to make people make the learning and development more and more capable and enhance their skills and capabilities what they have it with them. Okay, that's the major area that we focus here on. So here we have our panelist as well as the moderator available. Okay, so let me take this opportunity to introduce them to the audience over here. Okay, so thank you very much everyone to join this particular session. We have been talking about these things from a long time. Okay, so I'll start with a small introduction of all the panelists who are there. I'll start with Gopan Govindan. Gopan, first of all, thank you very much for joining this particular event. Okay, Gopan is a dynamic, senior learning and development specialist from NTT Data. Okay, who has spent his career starting from training, starting from training itself. Okay, got into networking, my favorite domain. I do come from the networking part itself. Okay, so networking, working in those areas. Okay, and then finally got into learning and development, exploring the world or the dynamics of learning and development is what Gopan has done it in his career. Gopan has always been praised for his compassionate mentorship and strategic decision making. What he has always done in his several roles that he has gone through in multiple organizations. Okay, so he becomes one of the eligible candidates to come up and tell us that how exactly a learning and development can get into the strategical moves and how can it be a part of strategies. Okay, that's something which Gopan will help us to understand. Thank you very much, Gopan, for being a part of this panel.
Thanks, Bilal. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to this interaction. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Next, we will talk about Ramakant. Ramakant comes with more than 2 decades of experience. Comes with more than 2 decades of experience, dealt with multinational companies like Tech Mahindra, CGI, okay, and have always CGI being one of our very esteemed client. We are always been in touch with respect to these strategical aspects which are going on. Okay, he's always been a part of technical aspects, how the business is looking at, how the things are looking at. Even I had a personal discussions with Ramakant a lot of time where I came to know about his area of understanding that he's looking at the strategical aspects rather than looking at a training to be conducted and it is supposed to be finished with a good feedback. Okay, it's not only thing which is that he looks at. Okay, so again, one of a very eligible candidates to come up and give the light what he has it within him with respect to this particular area of making learning and development not a cost center and moving it towards a strategic alignment itself. Thank you very much, Ramakant sir, for being a part of this particular session.
Thank you, Bilal. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. Next is one of my colleagues, late colleague, colleague who has been worked with me, okay, earlier in a different avatar itself, okay, and now being a part of learning and development and being a part of technical learning and development aspects in Mashtec, Samir Naik. Samir Naik again comes up with a very good experience, around 2 decades of experience, where he has worked in different areas starting from Java as a technology, moving into different areas, and right now globally heading the technical aspects of an organization like Mashtec. Okay. And looking at different areas, looking at different areas. When I had a discussion with Samir with respect to this particular event, he had a different thought process. He had a different way to look towards the entire thing. How exactly we can leverage with the existing things that we have and how it can be portrayed and how it can be used to become a strategic partner to the organization. Okay, so let us understand that very well from Samir. Samir, thank you very much for being a part of this event.
Thanks, Vishal. Thanks, Bilal. Pleasure to be part of it. Thanks.
And last but not the least, the person with whom we will not without whom we will not be able to take the things ahead, that's the moderator. And we have Lakshmi with us as a moderator for this particular session. Lakshmi comes with a very, diverse kind of experience. She has got 17 plus years of experience who has been working in different areas. She has been working with organizations like Capgemini. She has been working with organizations like, Tata. She's right now working with Tata itself. Okay. She has been working with different MNCs. She has been working with different MNCs over here, Hexaware, and a lot of other organizations where she has worked and worked as a learning and development. She's a moderator over here because she's the one who will be actually having the understanding of the questions which are supposed to be coming up. She has she has good set of questions which we will be getting it to understand during this entire session, and she will be putting a light of her own experience, that how she has gone through and how she has taken up the things over here. Thank you very much, Lakshmi, for being a part of this panel.
Thank you, Bilal and Kiran. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you. Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Bilal. So hi, Gopan, Ramakant, and
Hello,
Samir.
Lakshmi.
I,
Hi,
I promise I won't make your life tough, because we all are, I'm sure, having anyway a busy week. So I'm sure we all those people who are here, we all agree that in today's rapidly evolving business landscape, organizations are constantly seeking ways to gain a competitive edge. And being in the learning and development team myself, I feel that a key factor in this pursuit is a skilled and an adaptable workforce. However, traditional views of L&D, often position it as a cost center, focused solely on delivering training programs. Anywhere I have worked, the moment you say L&D, they say, okay, training lete ho na aap. I mean, we don't really go beyond this. But however, I've seen that this approach is undergoing a significant shift. And there are many forward-thinking organizations who are recognizing the immense potential of L&D to become a strategic asset. In short, by strategically aligning the learning initiatives, and if you work closely with the business goals, I strongly believe and vouch for the fact that we as an L&D team can become a very powerful driver of innovation, employee engagement, and ultimately, help the business to achieve its success. So today's topic is going to cover all these things that we just discussed. So with regards to this context, the objective of this discussion is to learn how organizations can transform L&D from a cost center to a strategic asset. Throughout this discussion, we are going to focus on 5 high-level points on this panel. And I'm going to quickly list it down for you. So the first point would be understanding the current landscape. Second would be strategic alignment. Third is measuring the impact and the ROI. Fourth is how we can leverage the technology. And fifth is the future direction. So if everyone is ready, I will be more than happy to start my Q&A with the esteemed panel here. The first question is to you, Gopan, and of course the first topic here is understanding the current landscape. To begin with, to set the stage here and to understand the current landscape and what's the perception of L&D within organization today, and what are the challenges in shifting this perception. Gopan, the specific question to you is, what are some of the misconceptions that you feel about the value of L&D in organizations, and how can we address them?
Sure, Lakshmi. Thanks for posing this question to me. And I think you have summarized it well already. So the first point I would put is that organizations often look at L&D as a cost center. Obviously, it's a cost center, but putting a lot of focus on how do I get returns on what is being invested is kind of a wrong direction of thinking about L&D. So I think looking at it as a pure ROI perspective is something which is a misconception to be removed. And there are many other amongst those, like say, for example, training is meant only for new employees, right? Or L&D does not impact business goals. I've often seen business leaders, maybe out of not having that maturity to understand the aspect of L&D, say that L&D does not impact business goals. And then having differences in opinion within the leadership to say that, okay, what model of learning works for the organization without taking efforts to experiment. So I think there is no experiment ground given in many places, right? I'm not saying this is throughout the globe kind of a model, but generally seen quite predominantly, right? And also thinking about investments into L&D as a one-time effort. They're not looking at a long-term vision of how L&D and the business vision can align into bringing out something in the future, right? And also, I can definitely say from a tech industry standpoint, what I've seen is that soft skills at times, or rather many a times, are not seen as important or significant as tech skills within the organization to upskill or reskill employees into that, which I think always impacts the way L&D is supposed to give or give support to the business back in the right way. So these are some of the misconceptions that comes on top of my mind, and I think I'm sure there are others that other esteemed panelists can think of, especially thinking about non-tech organizations. I've also supported some of them, wherein I can clearly say that in those cases, I've seen not utilizing the power of technology to implement training programs. They think that, okay, we are not into technology, so we should think only about, say, classroom trainings. We think that online trainings are not effective enough. So these are some of the misconceptions that we can find on the other side of non-tech industry. So these are some of them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think I could relate to every single example that you have given. My next question is to Mr. Ramakant. Sir, if you can share an example of an organization that successfully transformed its L&D function into a strategic asset. What were the key factors that contributed to this transformation? If you can, share us an example, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, just for a second, actually, I want to accept whatever Gopan has rightly mentioned about all the assumptions or whatever we have till now with the L&D. Now, connecting to that, the question which you asked, actually, there are many organizations which have started and they have already implemented this particular approach, that is taking the L&D as their strategic partners, rather than looking at as only a cost way of looking at. So I have, in fact, instead of taking the other organization names, I can take even my own organization where we already started initiating all these things. That's where I'm working now, and even previous organization where I worked, that is Tech Mahindra. So there also, when I was leaving, we were working in the similar fashion. Now, to quote it exactly. Maybe I can take IBM or maybe even GE Impact, I can take it. So let me take an example of maybe General Electronics, that is GE. So what I found in them is actually, so first and foremost thing is the leadership commitment. So when the leaders have to be, first of all, accept that L&D will play a strategic role rather than getting into a like costing type of what we call it as say cost center, or maybe also it has to understand that whatever the learning is required for the organization, it is not as a cost, rather than we have to look into as an investment. The learning or upskilling of our members are looked at whatever the cost they are incurring or whatever the budget they are incurring, that is looked as an investment for their future growth or future capability improvement. So that thought process has started this particular initiative in GE. And then alignment with the business strategies, where in GE, what they have done is they have integrated its complete L&D functionality closely with their overall business strategy, so that the company identified various critical skills which are required for upskilling and everything, and the competencies which are required for their members, okay, to achieve their objectives, or strategic objectives, we can call it as. And L&D has initiated all these programs, and they have designed these all programs and developed these all specific capabilities in them. So that is one more aspect which I got it. And also, as I said again, investment in the technology part. So they have utilized multiple learning learning management system, or majorly an LMS, simply we can say, for efficient delivery of training programs, as well as adopting some e-learning platforms to reach the complete global workforce. And one more point which I can recollect is on focus on the talent development. That is, the company placed a strong emphasis on talent development, and also succession plan. And L&D programs were designed not only for current skill enhancement, but also for grooming future leaders in the organization. As Gopan was mentioning, not only technology, also soft skills aspect, because that is the major part. Generally, most of the organizations are missing. Technically, they may be strong, but when it comes to behavioral aspects of it, there it is looked at very, not that much high. It will not be given that much high importance, but here they are focused on both the aspects, technology as well as soft skills area. And finally, I can put here one more thing, that is culture of learning. That is most important one, in which we are seeing in most of the organizations now. That is, every organization, of course, including GE, which I've started talking about, they have created a culture where continuous learning has to go on in the employees. I mean, they have kept some time, budget, and targets to reach or to meet those upskilling enhancement. So employees were empowered to take ownership of their development, and managers were trained to act as mentors and coaches for these. So these are some of the factors which has driven them, the GE, to be considered as a L&D as a strategic partner, rather than considering it as a costing type of thing. That's what I mean.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And those were some great examples shared. I hope more and more organizations start following them. My next question is to Samir. Samir, how do you think, how does the current business environment, influenced by rapid technological changes and focus on skills, impact the strategic role of L&D as a whole?
Yeah, thanks, Lakshmi, for the question. I guess, I think for last, especially when we had virtual as a focus in the business dynamics, uh, we all are learning continuously. And to mark at the major milestone in our learning shift was the pandemic. And that's where we started to ensure that everybody was eager to learn. Now, when we say rapid technological changes, every day, every month, we can see a lot of new fields and new areas are coming into picture. And that's where flexibility is one of the important aspects. And we want to ensure that this flexible aspect of ensuring that everybody has an opportunity to learn is made available via a kind of ecosystem. The whole ecosystem primarily helps people to promote learn anytime, anywhere. And that's what we are doing in Mastech, where we're ensuring that, anytime when a person thinks that he is interacting with a customer, he is writing a code, or when he is thinking about certain ideas, he should have a scope and mechanism to go and learn. Now, while we do have that, via as iterated by other panelists, where there is an introduction of LMS, there is an introduction of learning platforms, and that is where the whole idea comes into picture, where while having so much of information in abundance, are we really doing the right thing? We are making things available to them, that is something which everybody would love to have, right? I have access to all the courses which I want in business English. I want to know what are the Excel macros doing. I want to know what is the probably a kind of a technology area which I want to focus on. But still, many a time there is a kind of a direction needed. And that's where we collaborate with understanding about how we can connect with these stakeholders to understand what is their need of the moment and what they need now, okay, to ensure that they capitalize what they have as a knowledge and how they can conquer the future opportunities. So in such cases, what we do is we connect collaboratively with all these businesses to understand, what are their curated needs for different roles, for different kinds of technologies and interaction of stakeholders whom they connect with. Because it is very critical, right? It is not just learning tech. It is applying, understanding technologies, understanding others, listening compassionately to understand what really the challenge is, and again learn in a less amount of time, yet deliver something which is really relevant to what is the outcome expected from the business. So in such scenarios, we did promote a learn anytime, anywhere. However, the focus in abundance is a key driver for any of the aspect of L&D success. And that's how L&D plays a very strategic role, where in each and every hour, where every of the candidate within the organization learns something new with any mechanism you are making them available. Let's have a focus being also shared with them so that they are very keen to know that, okay, this is what can really make an important uh, impact on what is the next thing I'm going to do today. And it's really proud to say that, everybody acknowledges towards the end of the day that, yes, I've learned something today. If everybody goes in their home today, every day saying that, look, I've learned something, it's always a happy landscape of our learning and development. That is what I would like to say about it.
Thank you. Very well said. Learn anytime, anywhere. I think that's the goal, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Samir, for that. With that, we'll move to the second focus point for the day, which is strategic alignment. I truly believe, and I'm sure we all will agree, that aligning L&D with the business strategy is extremely crucial for it to be seen as a strategic asset. So how can L&D leaders ensure that their initiatives are closely assigned with the overall business strategy? With this point in mind, my first question here is to Mr. Ramakant. Ramakant, what do you think? What steps can L&D leaders take to better understand and integrate with the business goals of their organizations?
See here, when you mentioned that strategic team, right? So here I say that we have to connect with the business as a strategic partners. So we have align all the L&D strategy with business strategy. Like when you connect with the business, start thoroughly understanding the organization's overall strategy goals and priorities. That is first and foremost thing. Then then you connect with the business and what that business requirements are. So each, because every organization consists of multiple business, so you maybe as a overall view you can try to understand what is the strategy and business wise what are the strategies they have, what is the requirements they have. So this may involve regular meetings with senior leaders, studying their strategic documents and also participating in their strategy planning. Sometimes we may have to connect with their clients also. So in client meetings also, L&D has to will be given a chance to attend those client interactions so that we can understand from the client perspective what is their expectation. So if I look at business as L&D's client, then you should understand even client's requirement also. That is what I'm going to say. Now, and also we can talk about the we can conduct some assessments kind of thing, like some survey kind of thing to perform. I mean. To perform thorough needs assessment or surveys to identify the gaps between the current capabilities of the workforce and what are the skills required to achieve the business objectives. So engage with key stakeholders across departments so that you can gather insights into specific skill needs. That will help us in making, meeting their requirements and to understand their requirements. And also try to understand clear objectives and KPIs. What are those established objectives and KPIs they have? And finally, I would like to give one more last point as maybe build relationship with business leaders. That is, you need to cultivate the relationship with business unit leaders and department heads, and understand their challenges or maybe priorities, and what is their future needs, and also what is the current skill gaps in their teams. So this type of collaboration will help L&D leaders to tailor their programs that directly contribute to solving business problems.
Great. I think some very good points have been shared there. Thank you so much. Samir, my next question is to you in continuation to this focus point, that what do you think, how can L&D departments collaborate with other business units to ensure that training programs that we drive support and drive business objectives?
Yeah, I think as discussed earlier, we already have good now portfolio available via Learn Anytime, Anywhere. Okay. Now, the most important thing is how we can utilize this to create a kind of an individual portfolio across businesses. And when you say portfolio, it's ability to demonstrate the skills with a more elevated success. Now, here we have two major portfolios what we consider when it comes to collaborating as a strategic partner. One is definitely the skill portfolio. What skills do you possess and how much value you possess. In Mastech, we primarily prefer to ensure that the value portfolio is always more deeper to build deeper alliances with not only strategic partners but also with customers or even with our own team members. That's where we understand how each and everybody has an understanding of the current skill and the value portfolio, how they are able to perform and deliver success with multiple tools and aspects of learning, and to ensure that their experience is elevated. What offerings as a learning and development function can be making sure that they are available. So one of the primary things, as a learning and development, I ensure that there is a technology partner support who is being made it majorly available. Let it be a cloud platform partner, let it be a implementation partner, giving first-hand insights to each and every member who is available within my team, so that they have most important first-hand insights being available in the market. Now, when we have those made available, it is not just to make them available, but also to retrospect and reflect with them that were they able to map it to their business goals? Did they make the impact? And that's where, whatever they have learned through, we also share as a kind of a summarized learning insights to them every month. So we all have an ability to connect together, reiterate our goals, reflect on the aspects, and realign. Definitely, it's a cycle. It would not be a one-time effort. And that ensures that, we are part of their success rather than being as a just input to their success. So the idea here is the collaboration is the key driver among the business to ensure that they do succeed and learn continuously as they go ahead. So that's the whole idea about how we can strengthen gradually our skill and value portfolio by being a strategic alliance.
Very nice. I think the 3 R's that you spoke: reflect, realign, and reiterate. You
Agree.
beautifully summed up that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Samir. Gopan, my next question is to you. What role does leadership play in aligning L&D with business strategy, and how can L&D leaders gain executive support?
Right. Do I need to say that leadership plays a very crucial role in aligning leadership and learning and development with business strategy, isn't it? Now, the point is, what could leadership actually do to get there? And I think I can take my own example of what I've experienced with the leadership team from a past company is when they set up the organizational vision, there itself they placed continuous learning as one of their core values on top, right? So it's not common to see across industry to have such a kind of an approach. But I'm saying that such approaches are placing our priorities on top. We are clearly communicating to the employees, clearly communicating to the world that we place learning at the heart of our organization's culture. And that's something really motivating, not just internally, but also for clients to get a trust on what we are up to, right? So having such a clear vision and goal is definitely, something that leadership should put on place. And then if you look at not just like we have said this before as well, right? Not look at it as a pure cost center. Look at it like a strategic investment. Looking at L&D, prioritizing it as a strategic investment is also very much key. Now, again, all of these comes basically rolls down to the same point that how are you valuing it, right? So have your organizational strategy aligned, integrated with L&D. Now, be it in terms of achieving goals in terms of, say, have attrition rates reduced, or you're talking about delivering customer needs in a better way. So all of these, end of the day, would align towards to a greater extent with what are you giving back to the employees in terms of learning and development as a scope in their life cycle at the organization. And like Samir said, for cross-functional collaboration, there is nobody else than the leadership who can play a very critical role, right? Definitely, it is going to be the leadership who is going to pivot, who is going to be the axis of collaboration. So I think those are the things, and leadership is definitely at the center of it.
Very well said. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. The next focus point is something that even I keep, cracking my head since so many years, is about measuring impact and the ROI that we all keep talking about. I'm sure we all agree that one of the biggest challenges in this function is to measure the impact and ROI of all our programs. So we are going to discuss what are some of the effective strategies for demonstrating these values of L&D initiatives. In this context, my first question is to you, Samir. Samir, what metrics and key performance indicators, or KPIs as we call them, are most useful in measuring the success of L&D programs as per you?
Yeah, I think success is very important, and obviously it has to be measured. And definitely, we all should have a flavor of understanding it. However, that success is the most important aspect, and shift is the key here. Okay, and that's where we focus on two major shifts. One is the opportunity shift. What opportunities we get and how many we embrace due to the abilities of the skills what we have. And if we cannot embrace the opportunities, definitely there is a empowered decision being taken within the team that they have a right to skill shift. Okay. So skill shift is one of the primary measures, which we do practice within Mastech, to understand how they can measure, what they need to do more to grab the best opportunities available in the industry. Now, the opportunities would come in very different ways. It could be a very robust existing challenge which has been with the customer. It could be even via innovation and trending tech, where I would like to have an opportunity to capitalize on that and would like to learn new skills as we go ahead. So here, the skill shift could be actually measured at multiple levels and make sure that they could be on the focus of awareness. So just take an example for everybody knows what is a chat GPT now and a co-pilot now. So generative AI making people know okay what it is, so that when they have a long press on their mobile phones and Siri and Alexa starts talking to them, they know what it is. To go get into detail about how they can start creating their own commands. That skill shift even for my parents now, that they should know how they should do it. And that is where if we empowered everyone within the team with the right aspect, at Mastech, we follow Mastech 4.0 culture, where it's a total empowerment, where we believe that when they will come with their skill shift, definitely there is a return available and associated with it, because they have already identified the opportunities of success to ensure that there is a complement of business being adding in the skill set. That's how we manage here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that detailed explanation. My next question is to Ramakant. Sir, can you share a case study where L&D initiatives had a measurable impact on business performance? We all would love to hear that.
Yeah, so I was working on this one, and I found a good case study about the IBM. So which is a multinational company, technology company, where they have reorganized their need to continuously involve and adopt to stay competitive in the market, right? So there, when I was studying there about the IBM and how the L&D majorly the place over there. So I found one interesting factor that they have invested heavily in the L&D initiatives to equip with its workforce with the necessary skills and the knowledge to drive innovation and uh, to deliver the value to the clients. So major key components, what I understand is first and foremost thing, what I understand is that skill development programs, what they have initiated, like usually any organization, such type of organization, first when they start skill development program, when we say, first of all, they need to understand about every member has to, or every employee has to understand about their own organization. What is their organization talks about, what type of initiatives they have and everything. So they have kept that as a part of the learning. And it also talks about what are the different comprehensive skill development programs which are aimed at enhancing, as I said, to understand their own company, as well as enhancing their skill expertise and some leadership programs, leadership capabilities, and then some industry specific knowledge, like uh, uh, as Samir was mentioning, like recent latest technology, like what is AI, how what is Chat GPT, and how they can work with these particular technologies. And these programs were aligned with the IBM strategic goals of innovation and client centricity. It is not simply just for the sake of making people get the awareness. They have integrated that with their own goals. And then what I understand is there is something called as I mentioned, virtual learning platforms they have implemented, where nowadays we are looking at after pandemic, when we look at everything, most of the things have gone into virtual mode. Everybody started learning the things through virtual, and of course, the currently whatever the meet we are doing, it is also one of the uh, case we can take it as, like, because of that only we are making utilizing of this virtual platform to interact with each other. So IBM leveraged virtual learning platforms to deliver training globally and ensuring consistency and scalability across its diverse workforce, which is spread across different geographies over there. And one more point is leadership development, where uh, it has focused on developing its leadership pipeline through targeted leadership development programs. It's not that they have understood what is the requirement of that particular, leadership forum, and what are the things required for them to develop with respect to various things. It can be technology, it can be uh, uh, leadership qualities, and all those things. So these programs are aimed to cultivate future leaders as well, who could drive IBM strategic initiative forward. So it is not only current requirement, they have also focused on the future requirement. So continuous learning culture also they have emphasized, which I was mentioning earlier, like how GE was doing it. So similar now with this, now what are the impacts? If you look at what type of ROI we can look at, what is the impact over there if you look at. So first and foremost thing, obviously, whenever some such type of initiatives are being taken, that is majorly for the revenue growth. So through these type of enhanced skills and capabilities, IBM was able to innovate and deliver solutions that has met evolving customer demands. And this contributed to revenue growth in key strategic areas such as artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and so on. And also, they were able to do, cost saving by developing internal talent with the help of virtual learning platforms, or maybe through other sources, where internal uh, talent development they were focusing more on, so that they have reduced external hires. And with this, IBM has achieved cost saving associated with recruitment, onboarding, and training of the new employees as well. And also employee engagement and retention part. So with this enhancement of providing skills to the members through L&D, with the L&D initiatives. So they have reported higher engagement levels and job satisfaction among the employees. And this has led to improve employee relationship, relation rates with the company, and it has reduced the turnover costs. And also customer satisfaction, which is equipped with the advanced skills and knowledge by the employees, and IBM employees were better positioned to deliver high quality solutions for the customers. And finally, of course, market position, where IBM strategy focus on L&D, majorly because of the skill enhancement programs and everything. It has helped to position as a leader in the technology industry, and also enabling the company to compete effectively with the global marketplace. So with these all aspects, uh, I would like to say that IBM has done a great job, especially L&D area.
Thank you for sharing that, and good to hear that. I'm sure IBM is IBM for a reason, right? And now we know one of the reasons. My next question is to Gopan. Gopan, how do you think L&D leaders effectively communicate the ROI of their programs to the stakeholders? This is a tough
Sure.
one, right? I mean, I'm eager to hear this.
Definitely. So my first point would be that to communicate with the executive support, the first thing is to get a seat at the table, right? We as L&D often struggle getting the right seat at the table. And how can that be done? I don't think it is something that one can do overnight to get yourself present there and make yourself heard, right? So I think what is very important is use the language of C-suite. Focus on metrics. Talk about outcomes that matter to them, so that you can talk about, say, revenue growth. You can talk about market competitiveness and innovation, right? What L&D intervention could lead to. Present L&D plans in such a way that they are business centric, right? And above all, I think demonstrating ROI and the business impact that you present in front of them should have an ROI calculation. I do agree. But it should be done before you put a program in place. What I mean is, we are not going to look at the return on the investment made post executing the program. We're going to communicate this much upfront, making it very clear what is the program going to be about in terms of driving revenue growth, be it bringing in more competitiveness within the team that you have. And I also like to quote one of the HR industry legends, namely Dave Ulrich, who quotes, ROI is not about return on investments, rather, it is return on intangibles, isn't it? So not to be looked at everything that you invest upon to be something that returns you more than what you have invested. So at times it is about intangibles, and that hold a very huge value, which may not be visible. You cannot track it with metrics at times, but it does give you results. So now talking about, I would also like to quote a business case. Like Ramakant said, a very good example of IBM. How such a strong business case can support, L&D and can communicate better to the executive about, why business should support L&D. Now, the example I have in my mind is which I have read in the past, is about AT&T. So while AT&T, which is a very big operator based out of US, so while the industry was going through this phase of digitization, many roles became redundant, because those were people who were into direct sales. They were doing things in analog industry, and overnight things were changing. I mean, in shorter course, it was changing to everything digital. So a beautiful case that had happened there was, rather than they letting people go, whom they knew that people were working there from ages, they were decades into their being loyal to the company, they wouldn't want them to be let go. And as an L&D intervention, what they worked on is reskilling the employees. They sent them to getting themselves upskilled on technology, get themselves enabled on the concepts of technology, and doing on-the-job learning as well, while they stay. So that definitely took 2 to 3 years to actually, make majority of the employees who were in the, non-skilled category of technology come into that, transition into that. But through these, it was made very evident that, and a strong L&D intervention like this can hold a lot of value, because end of the day, money saved is money earned. And, and at times money can't even earn loyalty, which of course is very well evident with examples like this, be it that of IBM or AT&T. So I think having a strong communication, a clear communication with the executive can eventually lead us to get that support. And many a times for many programs and interventions, I have quoted examples, try to make it as transparent and clear to the executive team or the ELT to rather end up getting support for what is required. And I think it has worked wonders.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that in detail. With that, because we're talking about communication and things like that, our next focus point is about technology and leveraging technology. I'm sure we all understand that technology plays a very critical role in transforming L&D. So how can organizations leverage this to enhance the effectiveness and efficiency of their L&D programs is going to be our next few set of questions. Samir, my first question is to you. What do you think, according to you, are some of the emerging technologies and techniques that are particularly promising for L&D that proves the fact of L&D being a strategic part with business?
Yeah, thanks, Lakshmi, for the question. So first and the most important thing is the collaboration, which has been making sure that it is available between the experts. And that's where two major terms comes in mind, very clear. One is academies, which we create within the organization to ensure that people can have the focused knowledge being made available to them from the partners with the help of things, so that they have a usage of internet communication and technology to connect with experts. That is something which is very critical, where they have an access to the experts whenever they want to connect, collaborate. There are also platforms such as Yammer, earlier known as, now it is known as Viva Insights, where we can create collaborative communities as social platforms where people can create groups and interact with each other. All what we are understanding here is, to have an understanding about how we can generate an ability using collaborative platforms by learning from almost everyone, and that's where collaboration is a key. Nowadays, we also have communities over WhatsApp. We also have communities over multiple chat platforms which are there. While social platforms have been very critical to understand, whom and what we are able to offer. On the other hand, we also would like to have more collaborative sessions being delivered consistently within the organization. It could be expert sessions which we can have and arrange, so that these are platforms which L&D can actually help host, so that there are a lot of collaboration which happens within the experts to ensure that there is a knowledge sharing happening, yet they are able to get the information as and when needed. On the other hand, we can also have mechanisms where they can interact with the chat capabilities in an automated bot format. Nowadays, ChatGPT and Bard and Copilot has been again a mechanisms of features where how they can leverage these tools as a first-hand information to get something really quick with a mechanism and art of asking. Power of ask is really good, but art of asking is something which you are learning when we are taking help of these co-pilots. And all these, as they need term, they are co-pilots. They are the learning drivers which are for us from the technology. All have been started when we started searching on Google to get some information and things ahead. But yet we are able to use this approach as a micro learning approach to ensure that we learn almost things from everyone at every platform what we could possibly take things from.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Copilot for sure is a game changer. I can say this from my own personal experience. I've just started to use it and I'm in love with it. So thank you for that, Samir. My next question is to you, Ramakant. How can data analytics be used to personalize learning experiences and improve outcomes, according to you?
Yeah, so data analytics actually plays a crucial role here. because with the help of data, what is being collected from various surveys and various assessments and everything, we'll be able to provide insights into learners' behavior, preferences, performance, and so on. Now, for example, you can analyze data on learners' past performance and their learning style, preference, and goal. What are the goals they have, which will allow organization to create detailed learning profiles for them. So these profiles will help in learning experiences to individuals, what they need and what are the preferences they have. So, and also we can provide adapt to learning paths. So these data, whatever we collect with the analytics, whatever we are able to get it, it can identify what are the gaps in knowledge or areas where learners struggle. And we can provide some adapt to learning platforms uh, for them, so that uh, this data, uh, which can be dynamically adjust the learning path for each learner and providing targeted content and resources uh, to address their specific requirements or needs. So, and also we can, with the help of such type of survey analytics, what we can provide some recommendations over there, like in e-commerce platforms, whatever, whenever we search for some information or whenever we do some shopping, it will recommend some products, right? So similarly, based on the data what we have collected, so we can understand their gaps, we can understand their where they are need more improvement over there. For example, like pre-assessment before going for a learning approach, we can conduct some pre-assessment and we can capture what are the gaps these employees have, and then accordingly learning paths can be created and that can be catered as a training for them. So what happens is that learning gaps will be filled up, as well as the learning will also happen. So similarly, we can also provide some real-time feedback to the members whenever during the uh, this particular analytics process. Like after doing analysis, it can provide a real-time feedback on learners' progress and their performances. So this will allow for immediate interventions or adjustments in the learning strategies to ensure learners stay on track and towards their learning goals. And also we can this predictive analytics, if you look at by uh, analyzing their historical data, their previous records and everything, we can provide a forecast for future learning outcomes. Means what are the things you need to focus on. It can be related to some advanced topics which they need to develop, or some certifications they need to develop based on the company requirement or organization requirement or project requirement, whatever it was. So this will help in identifying learners at risk of failing and those who may need additional support, and enabling proactive interventions for them. And then we can also customize the content, like based on this learners analysis report. Okay, so learner data will help in customizing the content, like whether the cust will be able to provide them a direct training platform, or they need to attend a classroom training, or through some video content can be given to them, or so we can analyze based on that, we can customize the program and accordingly we can provide this uh, platform for the members to upskill themselves. So, and also we can talk about the continuous improvement. So we can understand what was earlier, okay, whatever the training they have taken, after 6 months, let us do a survey and take the survey report. What was initial data talks about, what is the current status of this data? So is there any improvement? How much improvement it is there? And what are the still skill gaps are available? And that how we can meet those skill gaps. These all continuous improvement process we can achieve it. So these are some of the uh, uh, aspects what data analytics provide us.
Very nice. That's such an integral aspect for all of us. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Gopan, my next question is to you with this particular key point that we are discussing. What do you think are the challenges and best practices in adopting new technologies for L&D?
Sure. I would also like to iterate some of the points that Samir and Ramakant have mentioned in the past, along with what I would have to say here. But just to say, we definitely need clear set of objectives and metrics in order to align whole of this, isn't it? And collecting and analyzing data based on, now there was a talk about you need to do a pre-training assessment and maybe an assessment later, which can clearly tell us the delta. Where did we improve? How well did we improve, right? That was quoted by Ramakant, by the way. So I would like to reiterate on that part that collecting and analyzing data is very important, without which you cannot actually showcase or demonstrate the difference that you would have made, right? And that difference is what is going to be the ROI, in fact, isn't it? That's what is going to be shown or presented as what is going to be the ROI. So again, to support this, we would have to use technology. So you use data visualization tools. Now, in today's date, again, I was just wondering, we could not end this talk without ever talking about AI today, right? And thanks, Samir, you brought it in the conversation in the beginning. That talking about be it Copilot or be it ChatGPT or be it any of those technologies out there, AI is making a big difference in our lives. And unless we cope and adopt that, right? I don't think there's we can visualize a world ahead without being a friend of technology in that sense, right? So I'm not of the opinion, like it's a popular quote said that AI is not going to take away jobs. When I say jobs, including our jobs, but people who know AI, they are going to take away the jobs. Right. So it's very important that we also upskill on that front. But why do you do that? Of course, in order to support the business, in order to, when we talk about, say, create data visualization, today it is very easy. You can do it with some prompts. You give the data in Excel format and it can produce charts, beautiful charts, the way you would want it and be presentable to the business. So having that leverage technology without which we don't see anything that can be done on today's date. So adopt it. And also, I think it's very important that we also benchmark against industry standards. That way we know that we are on a clear path, right? And there are ways that's the way you can also communicate on ROI of L&D programs. So again, being or having the buy-in of the executive leadership can play a long way in actually cross collaboration, doing all of that internal parts together, moving them together in order to get to the ROI that is required. So I think those are the points that I have.
Thank you. We do have a question in addition to this, but we will address this at the end. Something that you are speaking just now. So moving on to the final focus point for this discussion is about where do we go from here? Looking ahead, what do we see as the future directions for L&D? How can organizations prepare and adapt these changes to ensure that they remain competitive? In this context, Gopan, my first question is again to you. What trends do you see or do you foresee shaping the future of L&D, and how should organizations respond to it?
Okay, so today at a larger scale, when I also talk to my other peers in the industry, when I say industry, not just tech, I also engage heavily with people from non-IT backgrounds, right? In those kind of domains. And what I've understood is there is a huge set of resistance to change, which is quite common, right? And that's something we need make shift for sure. That's something we have to work towards too. We need to adopt at a faster rate than what we were doing over the past decade or century, for sure, right? Things are changing at a pace, and the more openness we show towards adopting those, that's the way ahead for us, right? So of course the challenges are also something like cost and budget constraints that come in, right? In adopting. Now people may say that, okay, I don't know how much to invest. I don't know how much money I should carve out this year to upskill my employees on something new that is coming, for which we don't know how it is going to roll out as benefit to us next year. There's no clear answer to that. So these are the kind of things. So cost and budget constraints are definitely there. Then there are technical issues in terms of how you integrate this into the L&D program. Are we as organizations understanding the skill gaps very clearly, right? There are multiple ways to do it. For tech organizations, at times it is very easy compared to non-tech. In terms of understanding where is the gap. Now, you need to just build a skill matrix for all the employees in tech roles, and then you classify tech, behavioral, functional skills, analyze. And then that should give us a fair understanding on where is the gap, where you need to work, etc. But at times it becomes very tricky when you talk about non-tech. Again, in these three categories itself, when you talk about behavioral skills, like how are employees aligning to the values of the organization? That's something, not something you can clearly solve with just budget in hand as well, right? So it requires intervention, collaboration across teams, bringing in as part of your culture to drive all of these. Now, you also spoke about, I guess, what are the key best practices that you would want to mention. I think that was also part of the question, if I'm not wrong. Right, the best practices you're putting up in adoption?
No, we have not yet reached there.
Not yet. Okay. So if it is about measuring the effectiveness, there are across industry there are concerns like, say, for example, if we go full on go into platforms like GPT, you do chat with Chat GPT or be Copilot. Is your data getting compromised? Like, is there data security or privacy concerns as a business perspective, right? So that also causes friction in terms of adopting, these kind of technologies at large. Again, the question is, if you don't adopt, there's a possibility that you lag behind the rest. But at the same time, if you adopt, is there potential threats that can ruin your business in the future? So it's a mix of all of these that I see as concerns across organization, across industry.
Something just comes in my mind. I'm sure we all know this tortoise and hare story, wherein they used to say slow and steady wins the race. I think that we are no more in that era, right? So fast and reliable is the key. I hope more and more organizations understand that. So thank you for that, Gopan. Samir, my next question is to you. How can organizations foster a culture of continuous learning and innovation, according to you?
Yeah, I think when it comes to going beyond what we have been doing regularly without measuring and keeping it open, okay, I think at this moment, only one line comes into my mind is how to make learning as a habit over a festival, where if it is an habit, it is something which is very consistent and been made available wider across almost all the areas where we actually collaborate together as all the stakeholders. At Mastech, what we are talking about is having 1 hour of learning every day. And it's a kind of an hour where everybody could take the best of the advantage and they can learn an area of focus, what we would like, them to know. And what we have done here is we have blocked this hour in such a way that majority of our time zones are available, where it is probably it is around in the evening 7 to 8 p.m. where people are available from India, UK, US, all the time zones. And we all collectively connect to a session to understand a particular area of focus. We start with probably a Gen AI tool or cloud technology, even wellness, health, meditation, yoga. So we're not been focusing on saying that yes, learning has to be ROI or complete, but it is a habit. We should start something. And believe me, when all different heterogeneous roles and perspectives and minds learn together as something as a topic, it's the synergy which gets created around this is something which is phenomenal to work together. It's like a collaborative effort which is being done. And while they have options of learn anytime, anywhere where they can actually share and leverage about this, We also focus on Mastech Unplugged. Every Thursday, which is third Thursday of month, there are no meetings day kind of thing. It's more of where they can unplug themselves and focus on certain aspect of learning. So all these initiatives primarily helps us to give some ideas, give them a break, give them an understanding that, okay, I know 7 o'clock, it's the time now. And it's a subconscious reminder for me also as a what session it is today at 7 p.m. Let me just see whether it is about health, is it about technology, is it about wellness, and that's where we widen our learning and development as a focus as a more of a growth enabler role rather than a support function. And even as a nomenclature as well at Mastech, all our support functions are growth enabling functions because that is how we embrace the ability of we being a preferred asset in driving the success in a strategic role. So being known as a growth enabling, the term growth itself is at a measurable aspect of anything which you feel which you have grown today and you have learned something. Obviously, as a takeaway, we ensure that there is a session for you at 7 p.m. You learn something around it and make things available. However, all the offerings and interventions are available at your service to learn anytime, anywhere. So with these kind of habits, probably we would have such kind of fostering culture of making sure that we enable growth and every day we see everybody grow. That's the whole idea about it.
I think that's a great thing. I am definitely going to go and speak to my boss about this. I hope there is no copyright to this. Every day,
So
7
we
p.m.
can.
learning.
Not at all. Yeah, it's because of our time zones as guests, but you all can decide, when is the maximum time most of the employees are in the system where they
Yeah.
can log in and learn together. So many a times, if it is an Australia time zone, probably some organizations do it in morning. Now the timing definitely is a collaborative understanding, the frequency and these, but we should start small. I think we should start at least once in a week, once in a month. Let's start learning together. The kind of joy we get in the synergizing of learning together, it's unbeatable because either we are grouped together in tech learning or power learning, or but how when we are going to learn together, that's the whole idea we are promoting here as a growth enabling function.
Excellent. I think start something, start someday.
It
That
is.
is the key goal here. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Samir. My last question for this, for today, if I can say, would be to Ramakant. Ramakant, what role will L&D play in addressing the skill gaps and workforce development in the future, according to you?
Yeah. So just going back to Samir's point, actually, I recollect one particular quote. We used to say that, okay, you can take the horse to the pond, but you cannot make it to drink. But one of my professor used to say that, okay, you create a situation where the horse feels thirst and automatically it will search for the pond. You don't need to take it to the pond. So such type of situations, I think we need to create even in the L&D also. Uh, so whatever as you asked, like how we can fill those gaps and how we can work out. So there are several key areas where we can work out with. Maybe first of all, L&D will need to collaborate closely with the, as I said, business leaders to anticipate future skill requirement. And this will involve analyzing the industry trends, and also it can be about the what are the technological advancements and changes in the job roles to identify the emerging skill gaps. So we need to identify those, what are those future skill needs, and accordingly we need to start designing those programs and publish them, and then showcase to the leadership that we have these programs as per your future requirements. So you can encourage your members to attend those programs and make use of it. Then or similar, as I said, like designing targeted learning programs. So once you identify the gaps, or once you identify those requirements of the future, you try to create some customized programs for those targeted audience. So that what happens is they'll be able to look at that it is for me. So when you create a generalized program and publish it as a calendar program, or if you just say that there is a program you need to attend, a general statement, if you make it, it will not have an impact. Where if you give them the objective, this program is designed for you because there is a requirement, and you'll be able to meet those requirements with the help of this particular program. So then that interest will automatically will generate, and we'll be able to focus more on learning, giving this learning platform to them. And also, L&D functions have to leverage these technology and digital platforms to deliver scalable and personalized learning experiences. Like it can be through AI-powered systems, or maybe nowadays we talk about this virtual reality and all those things, or maybe mobile learning apps to engage learners. So sometimes it may happen that you don't need to create a complete learning platform. You just create some 10 minutes or 15 minutes small videos, or not even 10 minutes, maybe I think I will say small capsules kind of thing, maybe not maximum 5 to 8 minutes videos, and just put them across. And through on mobile, whenever they feel that, okay, some topic wise they need, so they just can open, and through that apps, they can learn something. Hence, wherever it is required, you should be able to learn something. It is not necessary that it should be a schedule, that is a classroom or trainer or something like that. Such type of environment we need to create it. And also uh, uh, continuous learning or promoting such type of learning, like with the pace of technology change accelerating in the current industries, L&D has to foster a culture of continuous learning. So that means this involves encouraging employees to take ownership of their development. So the quote which I gave initially, creating a situation where hearts feel the thirst. Similarly, we have to create a situation with the help of management, obviously, that this learning is required for the employees, and for me as an employee, I should learn. So it is also a mindset. First of all, that is every individual has to have first of all self motivation to learn something. Then somebody else can motivate them, somebody else can provide them the inputs for learning. But first of all, every individual, it has to come from within. Then only we'll be able to, L&D can provide such type of platforms. And supporting remote and hybrid workforces, like as I was telling earlier, um, uh, post-pandemic, what current situation is like, we are able to connect with the various members virtually, we are connecting with them, and all the organizations are adopting flexible work arrangements. And L&D will need to support remote and hybrid workforces by offering virtual training solutions for them and digital collaboration tools providing to them, and engagement and productivity in virtual environments. So such type of environment L&D should provide to the employees. And also I feel that measuring impact and ROI, by with the help of this, L&D functions will increasingly focus on measuring the impact of training programs what they have uh, conducted. So L&D cannot just simply publish a program, execute it, and close it. As a it has to be continuous process. Like after going through the learning process, what employees doing, whether that employees immediately getting into project, whether immediately getting into billable role, able to meet the client requirements or not. So are there any still gaps they're finding? So what are the extra inputs we can provide to the employees? So such type of initiatives L&D has to take it. So that is how L&D can be uh, part of the business. At that time, L&D will not be looked as a separate entity. It will be looked as a part of the business and a part of the strategic plan. So these are some of the things which I feel.
Thank you. I think you have summed it up very nicely. So thank you. Thank you all three of you for that wonderful, for all those wonderful answers. We do have some questions here. If I can, I think we have a couple of questions, 2 or 3 questions. So Samir, if I can address this question to you, if you don't mind. So Mayur has asked, how do we create or prepare the mindset of employees for new or advanced technological changes like AI specifically?
Yeah. So when it talks about new technologies, probably the trending one, AI could be one which is a primary label to start with, and definitely it is something which everybody wants to know what it is. Okay, uh, it's all about understanding, what first of all are your current opportunities, where what you have been applying for, okay, and what are the options being made available from the tool set. So many a times what happens is why I'm supposed to learn this is very critical. And especially when it comes to Gen AI, the available options, especially with the help of Copilot, with the help of the chat GPT's mechanisms of this world. Okay, the contextual of art of asking is very critical. Okay, and when we are learning such aspects where every information is made available, we talk about understanding and first of all getting a clarity about what are the top 10 things I need to now utilize AI for. Okay, drop it down top 10, take top 2 for this week. Okay, so probably I may need to articulate my emails very correctly, or I may need to organize my technical backlog very correctly, or I may need to address a customer challenge very correctly, or I need to understand a technology very correctly. And I can now then start interacting and understanding how I can then check, how much and what tools are available within the AI fraternity, which I can pick things up ahead. So three aspects. One is productivity, what I am supposed to improve every day, which I can measure. Second is what I can learn new, because there are a lot of things where I know that there is a horizon which I can explore in the area. So just to give an example, I know there is a customer who is struggling with uh, a kind of a inventory management issue, which he has been raising it with. So shall I try asking this as well? It is a totally domain focus aspect. It is not at all related to technology. However, do we have that access to get those informations available? So as I told you earlier, whenever we are available with abundance, creating focus is very critical. And focus is abundance is very important when we start learning something new. So many a times that is what I have experienced, it has worked with me. When we have many of the offerings been made available with variety of options, probably just take divide and conquer as a very basic rule. Focus, create a focus, understand what you need to take it things ahead, plan step by step, and then conquer the technology and the learning as you grow. So that's how I would advise within the vast of abundance what we have.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you so much. I think I'm sure we all have got a lot of ideas from that. Uh, Gopan, I will just pose the next question to you if you don't mind.
Sure,
Mayur has
sure.
asked, what are the behavioral changes expected from L&D team to
Yeah.
become strategic asset than being called as the cost center or only enabling function? Can I
So
just add
I
one
also
thing
put,
here, if you
sure,
don't
sure,
mind?
sure, please.
I'll
Sure.
just say behavioral change would be, be the change you wish to see.
Yeah.
I think first as we as L&D, we need to believe that we can do this. And then
Yes.
maybe, of course, I leave it to you.
Yeah. So my
Go
answer
on.
would be that be the business. Don't think that business is a separate entity altogether. I mean, you are the business, right? As you are part of it, it is also your responsibility to ensure that business goes in the right direction, and vice versa. So it's a behavioral change we need. We look at ourselves as something different outside of business, which is wrong, which is where things get wrong. You know, so the moment we get into that shoes, obviously later gets supported by getting a seat in the table, and there you go, you're all sorted. So I think that's the mindset shift we need from this fraternity. So everybody in L&D should think that we are very much part of the business.
True. I agree. Thank you. Thank you for that. We have one more question here. Rajesh has asked that the greatest challenge in L&D is measuring the effectiveness and increase the ROI. Tell me about it. How do we achieve excellence in this area on a consistent basis? Any of you can pick this up and you can answer it.
Yeah, I can take that one. So
Sure.
so if you recollect, actually in the discussions I was mentioning that we after conducting any programs and everything, we regularly connect with the members. We just will not just leave the members after training. We'll go back to their managers. We'll try to understand how they are performing. In fact, even for the fresher trainings also. It is not only for the lateral fresher trainings also. After 6 months, again we'll take the feedback, and after, because that is a good time that by how much ever they have learned, they will try to put across an implementation, and they'll try to analyze. Managers can analyze where they are. So this approach, and it should be a continuous process. It cannot be left at only one program or couple of programs, and it should be a continuous process. It has to be part of our plan of execution of any training program. So what happens is it will become like a checkpoint. Did I do this one for this particular group which has undergone so and so training earlier? So how many of them are doing well? How many of them are certified? How many of them are getting? So when you maintain, I mean, when you make this as a practice, automatically it will fall into place. So for every batch, it is going to become one of the metrics. When we project the batch information, batch details after 1 year also, then we'll have the complete details of who has undergone, what is the current state of it.
Yeah,
So
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
You want to add on something? You were
No,
saying
that's
something?
what I want. That's what I want.
Thank
If
you. Thank you,
anything,
Ramakant. I think you have
yeah.
put in very nicely. So I thank all three of you. I think it was a great, some great points have come up. I personally definitely benefited from this session because my notes are full. I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell my boss that first let's get the seat on the table. I remember what Gopan said. I'm going to do that. That's going to be, I'm going to strive for that. And of course, the whole continuous learning culture, right? Because I'm fairly new here. It's just been 3.5, 4 months that I have joined. So thank you. Thank you, all three of you. It was a great session personally for me. And I wish to cross paths with all of you in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a power pack session. It was a power pack session because, so many things being discussed, whether it is, grabbing the seat where you want to have, talking about continuous learning, talking about Samir's, that, option of having a common time frame where we can have a session where everyone can come and learn. Okay. And it's a thought process, you have to just push it. The organization, it takes up in a different way itself. By the way, there was one question which actually came in the Q&A part of it. I'll keep it open. It is there on the chat. Technological shift are happening at a faster pace. At the same time, business to face uncertain times because of global economics scenarios where leadership team feels need to focus on cost cutting. How do you deal with this challenge? Now, it is a challenge which is there, but obviously how it can be, taken care of. Any one of you can just address that.
So if I may add, I had taken this example of AT&T, where see changes or shifts in technology is not happening for the first time. It has been happening in history, right? It is just that the pace at which it is happening is different, right? And I think a similar approach would even work in today's world. It's just that we will have to make it happen at a faster pace. You need to adopt such practices at a faster pace than what we could afford in the past. So I'll quote the same example, AT&T. While they were going through that phase of digitization and the roles of many employees were becoming redundant, what they looked at is could they reskill them rather to fit into what is required for the future. And they did succeed in that. And that's a very good case study for anybody. Now with AI coming in, now AI is not about learning to code, isn't it? As we all know, it is just utilizing it for our benefit in doing many of the operational tasks, which we are doing today. So many of those operational tasks will become redundant. But the thing is, we are getting it or making it more effective with taking the help of our friend, that is artificial intelligence. So adopt and progress. And I'm sure that leadership can understand, or the decision makers in the scenario can understand that layoffs may not be the only way, or cutting costs by laying off people is not the way to go ahead. We need people, and just that we need the people to be reskilled. And there, L&D is going to play a big role, for sure.
I totally agree to that particular point because it is obvious, it's not the cost cutting or layoff is not the solution to it. And as a part of L&D, we have to catch up fast. Now we cannot be on the same pace how we were doing it 10 years back or 15 years back. We have to catch up fast. It is artificial intelligence. Put it, get it, and do it. That's it. Okay. So, it's more about, how you are prompting it to get it done your work, how exactly it is supposed to be. Okay. So that things are moving into a different direction. I would like to thank all of you. Thank you very much for being a part of this particular discussion. Thank you very much, Lakshmi, especially for moderating the entire session in such a beautiful way. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gopan. Thank you, Ramakant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samir,
Bye-bye.
for being a part of this session.
Thank
you
you.
Wish you all
everybody.
a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Good day.
everyone,
Have a
and have a
lovely
good
day.
day.